All right, here we go. Lord Jamar, welcome back.
VLAD, what's poppin'?
Everything good, man. I see you got some new merch on.
Yeah, you know how we do. Peace to the gods. Brand Nubia merch. Go get that shit at hoodg.com. You know what I mean? We got the... Oh, yeah. How we do.
Well, speaking of Brand Nubian, me and you had this conversation the other day, but, let's go ahead and make it public. I was listening to the first album the other day.
Okay.
And listening to your first single, Slow Down.
Well, that wasn't our first single, but it was...
It was your first music video, first hit single?
We had Wake Up, which was pretty... That was pretty big. That was, our first big single, I'd say.
Okay. Slow Down is when I became familiar.
Okay.
With Brand Nubian. I was on the West Coast. Yo MTV Raps was
yeah,
pretty
that
much
was
my
the one
only...
that really was like national.
There you go. So I was thinking about Grand Puba's line. And what's the line that I'm thinking about?
A real gold winner, just like Bruce Jenner. Lay the bitch on the bed and then you run right in her.
Now, I was thinking this line would have to be changed in 2019.
Right.
So I asked you whether Puba changed his line when doing shows. And you said...
Yes, he does. He says a real gold winner like Caitlyn Jenner. But for the record, and this is my man, I love Puba, I don't really like when he says that, though. You know what I mean? So you will hear at the shows, there will be he'll say Caitlyn, and I'll still say Bruce Jenner. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm not conforming. Just the same way they're not going to make me say, call a he, a she, and you know what I mean? A she, a he. I'm not calling Bruce Caitlyn. That's Bruce. I don't give a fuck what dress he got on, what high heels he's walking around in. That's my nigga from the Wheaties box, and that's who the fuck he's always gonna be. Okay? But yes, so Puba does change it, to update the line a little bit. All right, it's cool.
So if you ever see him out, you'd be like, "What up, Bruce?"
Well, first of all, I don't know if I'd be like, "What up?" But I'd be like, "Yo, that's Bruce Jenner." I'm not gonna be like, whoever I'm talking, yo, that's that nigga Bruce Jenner right there. I'm gonna be like, that's Caitlyn Jenner. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, so when Puba changes his line, how does the crowd usually react?
I don't think they even paying attention to that. They're so enthralled in the whole moment of what's going on. They're not keying in on that main line because right after that, there's a line where he says, Puba makes no mistakes. She said, rock me tonight, and now the whole crowd is like, for old time's sakes. So they're more waiting for that line than thinking about some Caitlyn Jenner line.
Yeah, man, well, that's a classic song. Slow Down. What was the sample from? That one girl.
Edie Brickell.
Edie Brickell.
And the New Bohemians.
And the name of the song was?
What I Am, I believe.
What I Am is What I Am. Yeah. Which was a hit.
It was a hit at that time. That's what was so ill that we sampled it. Because it was a contemporary hit when we sampled it. And that's a hip-hop thing to do, but at that time, a lot of hip-hop people wasn't doing that. Like back in the days, let's say when Sugar Hill Gang first came out, right? With Rapper's Delight. Good Times was out, was a hit on the radio at that time. And that kind of helped the popularity of the Sugar Hill Gang's record. And so a lot of dope records would come out in the 80s and rappers would get right on it. Like I'm talking, they'd have a record maybe the next week if it was a fucking hit. You know what I mean? And then, I don't know, we kind of got away from that in hip-hop. Niggas just started sampling all kind of obscure shit, and we wasn't so much like jumping right on the hot R&B songs or whatever was hot at the time. So that was almost kind of bringing back an old school way of thinking in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that was a pop record. That was like a top 40 pop record.
Right.
And I think Puffy kind of sort of brought that aesthetic back to hip hop. Remember, he had that one, take hits from the 80s, make them sound so crazy. Because at that point, it was more like, before then, was like digging in the crates. You had to find that obscure jazz record of some dude that no one had heard of. And, you know, people would hide records from each other. And it was like that was sort of the vibe in hip hop.
Right, but like I'm saying, in the early vibe, like when you talk about Sugar Hill Gang, or even let's talk about the Treacherous 3, Heartbeat. Remember that record, Heartbeat, by the Treacherous 3? Mm-hmm. That's from a popular record at the time called Heartbeat by Tanya Gardner, and it was a contemporary record. It was out at the time that they made that record. You know, these James Brown records was years when we sampling them. It's not like James Brown had put some shit out a couple weeks before and then we sampled it and capitalized off that. But that's kind of like what we was doing, some of the records in the early days of hip hop, which a lot of people wasn't there for, so they don't know about this shit. So, history.
Yeah, man. Well, great song, great album. For anyone out there who's saying that Lord Jamar has not contributed anything to hip hop, you're probably not old enough to remember the immense contribution that those first few Brand Nubian albums made.
Oh, and I saw you put Grand Poobah on your lyricist licks too, and that was because a lot of people try to forget, but Grand Poobah, that nigga was Jay-Z, he was Drake, he was all of them type of motherfuckers when he was out. So you better give respect to my man.
Yeah, and also sort of a crossover R&B rapper, you know, because he was doing shit with Mary J. Blige. What's the 411? Was a huge hit
shit at that time. Like, yeah, he was ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time, absolutely, man. So if you make a top 50 list, you don't include Grand Poobah, you're bugging.
Yeah, you bugging.
Speaking of transgenders,
I think we should call them the T's as Dave Chappelle. Did you see the Dave Chappelle shit?
You know I saw the Dave Chappelle shit. That was
hilarious.
Epic. So, you know, I was going to say something else, but let's go ahead and talk about the Dave Chappelle skit.
Let's fucking talk about it. Juicy Smollett.
Juicy Smollett. I'm going to say this. This was Dave's greatest stand-up since Killing Me Softly.
Hands down. And I feel like it may have been his most brilliant. You know why? You know, and I said this on my show already, but the fact that he was able to touch the subjects that he touched in 2019, when you're not even supposed to be able to say anything about anybody, and came away unscathed, came away where I feel like whoever he was talking about at the time was laughing along with him. No matter what demographic he was talking about in that moment. It was genius. Like when you talk about the alphabet people, he never actually said the words. He called them the L's, the G's, the T's, the Q. He never said the title. And I think it was just brilliant the way he presented it. It's brilliant.
Oh yeah, he touched on pedophilia.
Yes.
He touched on
suicide.
Yeah. He said I'm not a pedophile, but if I was, Macaulay Culkin would be the first guy, the first little boy I'd get.
Oh man!
Like man, he really gave no fucks. I remember I texted him right afterwards. Afterwards I saw it. I'm like, yo, bravo! You really gave no fucks and really pushed the envelope on this. Like, bravo, good job.
I think one of the deepest jokes that he had, and I saw it went around the internet immediately when his shit came out, was the joke where he talked about, the rep coming in, from the show saying, you can't say the word faggot, And he's like, okay, cool, I'll take it out. Oh, wait a minute, Wendy or whatever her name was. How come I can't say faggot, but I can say nigga without impunity, with impunity? Oh, well, it's because you're not gay. Well, not a nigga either. Boom! That was such a mic drop, bomb drop moment. Like, yeah, I'm not a nigga either. So why is that okay? Why, in certain songs, fuck it, I'll even bring it up, like in our song, Punks Jump Up, okay? There were certain lines in there, and yes, Sadat changes his lines at the shows too when it comes to some of those lines.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so what does Sadat say?
I don't want to keep rehashing it. He said some things that the gay community didn't feel good about. Okay, and he changed. He says the clean version, which was a change. So he says the clean version at shows.
Okay, so I mean, he says don't understand their ways, and I ain't down with gays.
Right.
So what does he say now?
Hang on. Don't understand it. Wait, no, I don't think that's one of the lines. He's had another line. I think it was shoot a faggot in the back for acting like that. Some shit. I don't know. I forget what he changed it to, but he don't say that no more.
Hold on, I'm about to look it up.
Yeah, I forget. But anyway, my point being, right? Yo, in that song, he talks about fucking up niggas and shit.
Hold on, I got it. I can
freak, flat, flow, fuck up a faggot. Don't understand the way. Okay, so now he's changed it to I can freak, flop, flow, rip up a party, dance all night, and at the end call the body. That's what
Okay. That was already on the clean version though, wasn't it?
Yes. That's what I'm telling you. So he says the clean version now instead of the dirty version. So danced all night and at the end caught a body. Caught a body of who? A black man? And that's okay? As long as we don't, fuck up a faggot, it's okay to catch a body of a black man. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's some bullshit. Like, you don't care about all humanity. You see, you just care about your little demographic. And that's some bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Chappelle even addressed that. He goes, I'm going to do an impression. If I find anything about you, I'm going to take everything from you. Who is that? That's all of y'all. And he's like, I don't think I did anything, but time will tell.
Oh, I loved when he was talking about the opioid crisis and how, hey, just say no, like the same shit y'all told black people, just say no and all this shit, but now y'all motherfuckers got a crisis on your hand, and now it's totally different. It's totally different. Now just say no is not a viable response, is it?
Right. Right. And then, before we kind of get off the topic, I like that one part where he goes, Anthony Bourdain.
Right.
Killed himself.
He had the greatest job created in media, ever created in media. I'm going to fucking send you around the world for you to eat delicious foods.
With interesting people.
And that wasn't good enough. You killed yourself. Yet my man who works at Foot Locker with the referee outfit and all of that, this nigga never thought about killing himself. You know what I mean? Like, yo, that's some ill shit though.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if you look at suicide rates in the black community compared to other communities. Well, let's just look it up.
I mean, it exists, but it's not as high. We are a resilient people. If you look at in the 20s when the stock market crashed, Who you think was jumping out the windows? Not black people. We already was fucked up. It wasn't going to get no worse for us. It was the people that didn't have money and then all of a sudden, that had money and then all of a sudden didn't have it. Those was the ones jumping out of windows. Matter of fact, in the 20s, we had our own fucking, because of Jim Crow, we had to have our own communities with our own banking system and our own stores. So a lot of that shit wasn't even affecting us like that. We had our own economy in a way.
Well, I looked it up. So the suicide rate of whites, non-Hispanic whites, is roughly 2.5 times those of blacks. And Hispanics are slightly higher than blacks, but just barely. So essentially, white people definitely dominate the suicide category.
Because, and I'm gonna tell you, I think that's a unintended side effect maybe of white privilege. Because when you've been given everything all your life and you've been, perched up above everybody in an unrealistic way, in a way that's not natural, and then all of a sudden for the rug to be pulled from under you, and you actually have to stand at the same level as everybody else, that's fucking traumatic for some people. Especially if you've gone through this all your life. Wait a minute, I'm a fucking white man. How is this happening to me? So yeah. There's positive and negative that exists within all things.
Earlier this year, I interviewed Malik Yoba.
Right.
And in the interview, he talked about playing a transsexual character in one of his plays, as well as playing a female character. He said that he likes the idea of wearing a dress just to push his acting skills to the limit.
One of the main characters is Gladys Rosenberg, who's an old Jewish woman. She's a therapist. That's me. I play 2 trans characters in it. I play an old Spanish man. I play an old Italian guy. I play an old Jamaican woman. So for me, we're vessels. And the goal is to show humanity in all of its fullness. And I'm half man, half woman. My mother birthed me. I'm half of that.
And then later this year, all types of new stuff came out around that. So first of all, he did a post saying that he's learning how to be attracted to transsexuals.
No, not that he's learning, that he is trans attracted. That was his thing that he made up.
Shortly after that, though.
Oh, yeah. Something came out. Mm-hmm.
An underage trans woman accused him of trying to pay for sex or something of that sort.
You mean an underage trans dude who used to be a prostitute in Times Square came out and said that when he was like 13, that this guy paid him for sex, and others that used to be around there, allegedly?
I'm actually looking at it for the first time. Maria Lopez Ebony, surviving Malik Yoba. We had sex when I was just a teen. There's a whole thing. Now, I don't know whether...
I read it.
You read it?
Yeah, I read it. And I also... Did you hear Malik's freestyle response?
What was the response?
Oh, he rapped the response. He did a freestyle.
Okay.
He went on to go on Malik Yoba's IG. He did a freestyle rap where he's basically saying, yeah, the accusations, y'all running with these accusations and it's some bullshit, but he was rhyming and shit.
Okay, I got to see this. Okay,
Oh,
so this was
watch
September 3rd. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, we're back in August.
Did he take it down? Because I just seen this yesterday.
I think he may have taken it.
It was
down.
on his page.
I don't see it anymore.
Wow, yo, that's my word. When I was shooting my show yesterday, I want to say around 6 o'clock, I'm looking at a fucking, he got on his IG and he was rapping. And he was like, yo, y'all accusing me of some shit, pedophilia, but it's not true, and y'all gonna see, and what you do, and you hating on me, and I'm just saying we need to love everybody, whether trans woman and boy, I'm like, it was kind of crazy. It was weird. It was a weird response, so I'm almost not surprised that he took it down. Like, why would that be your response? And why would you put it in that kind of format? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either, man. But listen, if you're into trans, you're into trans.
Right.
It is what it is.
But then if you're into pedophilia, that's not cool.
No, that is absolutely not cool.
And that's what's getting him kicked.
Absolutely.
That's what's getting him kicked out of what I call the September 17th Club. Okay, now I have to reveal this, okay? So I'm born on September 17th, right? And there's a few people that are born on September 17th. Dougie Fresh, fucking Vinny from Naughty by Nature, my man Rich Nice from, that's down with Sway and was down with Trackmasters. And Malik Yoba is born on September 17th. Now, I feel like pedophilia gets you kicked out of the team 917. If this is something that you really did. Now, I'm not going to say if you're attracted to a trans, it'll get you kicked out. But definitely pedophilia will get you kicked out. It'll get you kicked out of the 917 team. I don't know if he knew he was in the 917 team. But if that's the type of shit he doing, then he can't be in the 917 team no more. We got to say he was born at 12 o'clock and it was really 9/18 or some shit. I don't know.
Well, I remember I sent you this article. We actually, we posted it up. Let me go ahead and just pull it up. Hold on a second. So there was a really big, extended scientific study that confirmed that there is no gay gene. That genes cannot predict sexuality. Meaning that they, analyzed a ton of gay people, a ton of straight people, and looked at them genetically and saw absolutely no difference between any of these people. Male, female, black, white, Spanish, Asian, Indian, whatever, they could not consistently say, hey, you genetically came out of your mother liking the same sex.
Right. You can't say, basically, that you were born gay. That you
Which
came
upset
out.
a lot of people.
Huh?
Upset a lot of people. I remember even
Right.
on my Twitter timeline, like people were like arguing. There's this one like young white gay kid who's like, I didn't choose my sexuality. Who would choose to be persecuted the way I've been?
I hate when they say that because we make negative choices every fucking day. We make negative choices that are adverse to our health, to our well-being. We do it all the time. Why would anybody smoke cigarettes when they know you could get cancer or lung damage or anything like that? Why would you drink soda when you know that you can be obese and all of this other type of shit? So don't fucking use that as an excuse. Why would I do something that I know might hurt me or bring some sort of negativity to my life? Because people do it all the time. People do negative shit all the time, sometimes just for attention. Okay? So throw that fucking argument out the fucking window. Why would you do it? Because there's a lot of different reasons why you do it. But being born, like, first of all, none of us come out the womb wanting to fuck anything. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even thinking about sex till much later in your life. Okay?
True.
Even those little kids, like you might see a little boy that acts a little feminine, okay? He's not thinking about fucking another boy at that point. He might be thinking about playing with girls' dolls, and he might have a proclivity to more feminine type of what will be deemed feminine activities. You know what I mean? He might not want to play sports as much or whatever the case may be, and we don't know what that could be from. That could be from some other shit. How about all these soybeans in the fucking diet that's supposed to cause, heightened estrogen in males and more testosterone in females? Like, there's a lot of shit that we're not looking at that can influence shit. But all the sexual part of it, that's a decision. That's a decision. Like you could grow up around, let's say you got 5 sisters and a mother and you the only boy. So you got a lot of female, and you might be the youngest. So now all the people you look up to are females. That might very well help to push you down that road. But at the end of the day, you're going to decide what you want to do or not, because there's people that's born that way that have 5 older sisters and they're not homosexual. That didn't influence them. So, I don't know.
Well, this study was 100 times bigger than any previous study on this topic.
Right.
So this was a big, serious study, because I think that this is, I think this is a topic that should be explored.
Right.
Are you born this gay? Because I think that had it come out that way, it would have justified a lot of people. Like, hey, look, this is the way I was born. And you could really tie that, at that point, you could tie, sexuality to racism. You see what I'm saying? You could say, you can't discriminate me for being gay, just like you can't discriminate me for being black. Because
Right.
I was born this way. I have zero control
But again,
over this. It is the exact same thing. But what they said here is that the DNA cannot predict who is heterosexual or gay, and their sexuality cannot be pinpointed by life experiences, psychology, or biology.
Right. And so I actually sent this to someone when you sent that to me, and I received an idiotic, just in the title of the thing, it made no sense. It said, no gay gene, but doctors have found genetic links to sexual behavior. If there's no gay gene, how is there a genetic link to sexual behavior? Like, that's just some shit they're gonna put out there to try to combat whatever this was fucking said. Like, you'll always find an anti-study. But I don't think there's been as big a study as the one you're talking about. But I was just like, fucking asshole. Like the title itself didn't even make sense.
Right.
If there's no gay gene, then there's no gay gene. Why are you talking genetics after that then? You see what I'm saying?
And let me just say that the source where we got this article is from pbs.org. This was a serious publication. This wasn't just like some,
off-brand
or something that people could feel is somewhat swayed. The title of this is "There's no gay gene, there's no straight gene. Sexuality is just complex. Study confirms." A lot of factors. And here, at the end of the day, take a look at this. Why do so many men partake in homosexual activities in prison? Because that's all they got access to.
Right. And it ends up being, but they decide to do that. They didn't go in there. They got weak over time from lack of sex, and they said, you know what? Fuck it. And they made the decision to do that. So, and here's my thing. Why is it so bad to say that it's a decision? Like, why do you want us to believe that you had to be born this way? Is the fact that you made a decision, can that bite you in the ass somewhere else? You see what I'm saying? Like, does that speak to something else that y'all don't even want us to really examine? Because y'all are really going out of your way to act like it's not a decision, when we need to own up to the shit we do.
it ties itself into serious discrimination aspects like racism and so forth like that, because once you take away the choice aspect of it, then you could say that you're being discriminated or prosecuted over things that you can't control. Like, for example, you could be born into a Christian household and decide to become Muslim.
Right. You could be born in a Christian household and decide to become Muslim. Like what? It's a choice. You know what I mean? Like it's a choice. And I'm just saying,
you could be born into a Muslim household and decide to become Jewish. Like, these are all choices, and these are choices that a person makes, and I think that's.
And now now let's say you're born Christian, you decide to turn Muslim, right? Mm-hmm. And now Muslims are being persecuted, let's just say, okay, by America and all this type of shit. And now you're complaining about being persecuted. People are going to say to you, well, you made the conscious decision to be a Muslim. If you don't want to be persecuted, don't be a Muslim. That's what they probably would tell you. Or if you really love it so much, then you're just going to have to deal with the persecution. That's part of being a Muslim in this country. So if you don't want to be persecuted about your sexual proclivities and all of that, and first of all, nobody should be persecuted for anything. Like, persecution is some bullshit. Right. But if you don't want to deal with whatever ramifications come with whatever decisions that you make, then we need to weigh these decisions out and decide whether we're ready to own all that comes with it. You know what I mean? The positive and the negative.
I mean, look, I'm a white Russian Jewish male. I grew up in a mostly like white and Asian community in San Mateo. And then when I got to Berkeley and Oakland and lived out there, I was around a lot of black people. And my first real relationship was with a black woman, she was actually black and Japanese. And moving forward, that had such an effect on me that for the rest of my life, most of my relationships ended up being with black women.
Right.
It was due to a choice, a decision, my environment. I don't think I was born attracted to black women. In fact, when I wasn't around black women, I wasn't really attracted to black women like that because there weren't any around. I mean, apart from what I saw on TV. So my environment kind of sort of affected my sexuality, which was heterosexuality, but, my preferences for certain types of people in the opposite sex. And that's not anything I was born with. I can't say it's genetic.
And now let me ask you something. And you feel comfortable around black people? I've seen you eat Jamaican food and all kinds of shit. Now let me tell you. Now let me ask you. Are you transracial? Do you feel like you're black? Although you like all this black shit? You're in a black fucking genre. You like hip hop. You was DJing. You like black women, black food. Do you think you're black?
Not at all.
You still know that you're a white Jewish man from Russia.
Right.
And that these are choices you've made.
Mm-hmm. It's a choice. It's
and
a choice.
And nothing's wrong with that, Vlad.
Here's another thing. If you throw me back in an environment when I'm only around white women, I will eventually start to adapt and get into white women. I'm not just going to sit there and just not have sex.
Not get no pussy.
I will make it work.
Let's not get crazy now.
I will make it work. And I think that's what happens in prison. Like, hey, you're into women, you love women, but now you're given 30, 40 years where you're not going to see any more women.
Yeah, well, I'm jerking off then. I'm not
well, not everyone makes the same choice as you.
And I know niggas, that was jerk off kings. Like, they did not submit to that gay shit. They just jerked off a lot. That's all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then you get different levels of it. For example, like I've talked to dudes who, Mexican dudes, like Mexican gangsters, and in certain there's certain like mentalities where like if you fuck a dude, you're not gay, but if you get fucked, then you're gay. You see what I'm saying? That's not considered gay. If you have a
yeah, there's that's not in just Mexican. That's a lot of people try to justify their dealings that same way. Not just black, white, all kind of motherfuckers. Oh, it's not gay if you get your dick sucked. It's only gay. Nigga, if your dick get hard for another man, you gay. Okay? I don't care if y'all ain't even touch. If you look at a man and your dick get hard, oh, you gay, sir. I don't give a fuck if you never had gay sex in your life.
Right. Well, and there you go. And that basically takes us full circle back to this study, which says that sexuality is just complex. There's a lot of different things that go into it. There's a lot of different factors.
But it ain't genetics that go into it.
You're not just born that way. The end.
The end.
We had Marcellus Wiley on the show recently.
I keep hearing his name. What is he, a football player?
He's an ex-football player, ex-pro football player, who was on ESPN for a while as a commentator and analyst. And now he's actually on Fox. He has a show with Jason Whitlock.
Okay.
And he had some things to say about Kaepernick that was sort of against what a lot of people were running with.
Well, what do you have to say? Because I actually talked to a pro football player. Damn, I forget this guy's name, but he had some interesting things to say too. Go ahead.
Well, there's a few interesting points, and a lot of people got upset. And he, when he had said them before, and then when he went on VladTV, he doubled down and expanded on it. So, one of the things is this. For one thing, there was the whole concept that Kaepernick was running with that he got blackballed by the NFL. Mm-hmm. And what Wiley said was that Kaepernick actually had 4 different NFL potential offers, and he messed up all 4.
And then you have opportunities to go to 2 or 3 teams. You opt out of your deal. You got a chance to go to 2 teams after that. We know what happened with Seattle. Basically, you're going to have to service Russell Wilson and get our starter, Russell Wilson, right. You down with that? Nah, that's not how I roll.
How?
Well, he was talking to the Miami Dolphins. And then he decided to start wearing a Castro shirt. Now, if you know anything about Miami, you know there are a lot of Cubans in Miami.
Right.
And they're all there because they pretty much hate Castro.
Right. And there's influential Cubans with money that, okay.
Right. Not only did a lot of them escape Cuba, but a lot of them were put in a boat and shipped over to the U.S.
Right.
Who were, criminals or, alleged criminals or whatever else.
Scarface, okay, was
Scarface, yeah, the boat lift.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the end of those talks. Then, hold on, actually, me and him were texting each other about this, and there was an interesting breakdown that he actually sent me that someone tweeted. Hold on one sec. Here we go. Then he was talking to the Baltimore Ravens, right? And Ray Lewis is a prominent person over there in Baltimore.
And then he said, fuck The Wire. The Wire was a bullshit show.
No. So he was talking to the Baltimore Ravens about a position, and Kaepernick's girlfriend, Nessa, decided to put up a picture of Ray Lewis and the Ravens owner hugged up with a picture of Django. And Samuel Jackson and Leonardo DiCaprio hugged up in the same kind of position.
Okay.
So that was the end of the Baltimore Ravens talk. He was talking to the Broncos, but he refused to take a pay cut. And he was talking to the Seahawks, but he refused to tell the team that he would stop kneeling. There was also a 5th one that Marcellus pointed out to me, that he actually opted out of his San Francisco 49ers contract. But apparently he was already told that he was getting cut, but he decided to opt out himself. There was still a chance that he could have stayed with the team. So his point was, how are you being blackballed when you're actually messing up the opportunities yourself? And when it comes to a high-stakes game like football, it's not about how good you are and that's it. There are great people right now. There are way better football players who are in prison right now, who went and got caught up in life and, got into some trouble or got into some family problems and just could not progress and get to the point of actually being an NFL caliber football player, because the NFL has, it's not just the game, it's also the image and the advertisers and everything else like that. You saw what happened when people just act a fool, like Mike Vick.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was one of his points. So what do you think about that?
First of all, a lot of people are their own worst enemy. I mean, that could very well be true, but then if the blackballing part wasn't true, then why'd they pay him? Why did the NFL have to pay him?
You mean in the lawsuit?
Right.
Well, we talked about that too.
Now let's talk about the settlement. No one knows what he settled for definitively. And it's amazing that in that settlement, it's not implying guilt. People always think that once you settle, you're guilty. NFL's guilty. No, it's basically big bank takes little bank and says, look, I got so much money, I don't need to deal with this. All this time you're taking up is money. All this negative PR is money. I'm going to get back to the money-making business, get rid of you at a cost that is low to me but high to you. And the NFL is printing money. So they're like, Kaepernick, whatever that number is, if it's $1, if it's $100 million, even if it were $100 million, you know what the NFL has to do? Go to every single team and say, hey, this year, y'all got to give me $3 million extra. They're like, and that's not even a game. That's not even a game of revenue for these owners and teams. So I just want to set that record straight in terms of what guilt looks like. And it's not in settlement.
And let me tell you the way lawsuits work, okay? When somebody sues you, it costs an inordinate amount of money to go to court. When you're talking about the NFL, it could run into the tens of millions. Easy.
So
they have to have a huge legal team.
Better for them to settle.
You end up, at one point, doing a calculation saying, okay, look, I could settle for this amount, or I can go to court and win, and it'll still cost me this amount. And when it comes to like certain types of cases, you can't even recoup your money, even if you win. So you basically say, okay, for 1/10 the price of going to trial, I'll just go ahead and settle. And this doesn't mean that I'm guilty. And a lot of people think that, oh, he settled, or they settled, that must mean they're guilty. No, it doesn't. It just means they didn't want to spend the money. It was cheaper for them to settle and call it a day. So go ahead.
Hey, that makes sense. Listen, the player I was talking to, I think he used to play for the Raiders or some shit like that. He said something to the effect that you were saying, that they were like, he was gonna get released anyway or something like that. He put it to me as this was actually kind of a smart move on Kaepernick's behalf, because he ended up getting paid crazy money and he don't even necessarily have to play right now. Like, if you think about the money he got from Nike and the money he supposedly got from the NFL, this motherfucker ended up financially coming up ahead. Like, if you think about it, was Kaepernick the type of quarterback that was going to get a deal with Nike prior to this if he just would have never kneeled and been a regular quarterback?
No.
I
mean, what quarterbacks really get major deals like that? I mean, NFL players in general don't get a lot of high-profile endorsement deals.
Usually basketball, right?
Well, because they wear helmets. You can't see their faces. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's part of it. It's harder to connect with someone who's just wearing a face mask all the time. What football players have sneakers? Well, number one, I mean, you can't wear the same shoes that NFL players, because they're cleats. There you go. What are you going to, who wears pads? Like, know, it's very specific to the sport that makes it a little bit harder.
That's true.
You know, whereas with basketball, shit, if you wear Jordans, you can feel like you're Mike. Like, you know, you can wear LeBrons. You can. It's a
People
whole.
wear basketball shorts outside, jerseys, all of that. Even
Exactly.
baseball. Now that I think about it, you're right. It is because it's hard to market the player. You can but see, that's what's so ill. But football is the most popular thing because I think by them covering up their faces, it actually helps to promote the league as a whole more than individuals. Whereas in basketball, you have more individuals that are famous, you see what I'm saying, as opposed to the whole league. You dig what I'm saying? People talk about fucking LeBron and niggas, you know, Jordan and Kobe right off the bat, like not necessarily the NBA, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you think about Sunday football and you're kind of thinking about the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Kaepernick at this point is the most famous NFL quarterback in the world right now. I mean, Brady's obviously a much better quarterback, but I think most people know the Kaepernick name more than they know Brady's name.
I'm just saying, you know, he did, you know, he's come out ahead in a way. You know what I mean? He's come out ahead in a way. And here's my thing. I just want to say, you know, I don't really give a fuck if he gets signed to an NFL team or not. Like we need to focus on why he said he was kneeling in the first place, which was to protest police brutality and the killings of young black males that was going on crazily and still going on here in America. That's why he kneeled. Okay?
Well, here's the next point that Marcellus Wiley made.
Hang on, but let me just
Okay, go ahead.
Finish that thought.
So
he was supposed to kneel. All of this shit about he got fired and you know till he gets his job back. To me, I don't really give a fuck about that. And another thing, I don't believe that the NFL can solve this. Like, can the NFL solve the police killing black males? Like, no. Like, yeah, they could give money like Jay-Z's doing now to different institutions that'll hopefully educate and do something, but I don't even know what we're looking for the NFL to do, you know, as far as that's concerned. But for me, if you're just saying hire Kaepernick back because that was some bullshit, like, I don't really give a fuck about that. Like, he's straight. He got his bread.
Yeah. And, you know, I think a big difference, for example, was body cams. That exposed a lot of things that were completely hidden up to that point. You know, if you're wearing a body cam and you end up, you know, and we put up these types of stories.
But it's also phone cameras, period. Phone cameras. Like, a lot of that was caught with other people filming the police as well.
Right, all right. And that's what made the Rodney King situation so prominent back in was it the early 90s or late 80s? Or early 90s.
Early 90s.
Early 90s, like 91, I think. Was that people just didn't have video cameras. The fact that there was a guy that was there in the vicinity with a camera with like some sort of night vision level accuracy to capture that was like, yo, like no people had flip phones back then. Like,
right, and
no
this
one
is
had
what
cameras.
you had heard about police brutality for years. The police be fucking up black people in the hood, da 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 da. That was the time that you actually got to see it, you know, and this is multiple cops wailing away on a black man. So that's what definitely made it stand out because you had the video evidence. And now you got video evidence being circulated now, but what we're looking at as evidence is really being used as psychological terrorism, really. They're using this against black people to make you feel terrorized against the police. And the ultimate goal is to keep you docile so you will not resist. You see, there's one thing to respect authority. But then there's another thing to fight against injustice, right? So what happens when the people who are supposed to be your authority figures are unjust? What do? I was taught to respect authority, but I was taught to fight injustice wherever I see it. So now the police is being unjust. I'm taught to resist that. America was born on this resistance of unjust tariffs and all kinds of shit. Persecution from England and shit like that. And this is shit that exists in the Constitution. But once again, this is something that we as black people are not afforded. We can't resist tyranny. We can't say, no, that is not right. I will not get down on the ground. You have no right to search me right now. When I see videos every fucking day, white people getting in confrontations with the police that don't end up in them getting killed. I just seen one butt-naked white man killed a house full of people and is running around chasing the police and shit like that. And the dog had to take him down because they didn't want to shoot his fucking ass. He had just killed fucking a whole house full of people. Come on, man.
Well, another point. Well, there's a couple more points that Marcellus Wiley made. One of them was Colin Kaepernick is mixed, black and white, was raised by white parents that adopted him in, I believe, Wisconsin, and then I guess got moved to Central California and so forth. Now, a lot of people took this as, oh, you're saying that Colin doesn't have a black card or isn't black enough, but he said it's not that. It's that based on his experiences, he never actually got to experience the level of brutality that inner city black people dealt with in terms of police based on his environment. Whereas Marcellus, he went into a whole story about how, he grew up in Compton and, Slauson, and, he was at a bus stop one day, police pulled up on him and put a shotgun to his head.
And one day I'm sitting there, police go by, and then all of a sudden, I mean, like in a movie, freeze, get on the ground. Now, I'm sitting there, youngster, I'm like 14, hoodie, and just black hoodie, regular clothes, on the ground. Shotgun to my head, few other guns are drawn, and I'm like this. And I remember I could see the cop who was still halfway in his car, but gun drawn, but really like more in communication with his CB. And I remember hearing it loud. They telling me not move, I'm not moving. Scared's not even a word. I don't know what it was. All I kept thinking is, please don't sneeze. Please don't trip. Don't move, nothing. And I could hear it all of a sudden loudly from that same cop who was hanging out his car. Suspect seen fleeing, some mistaken identity. Takes the gun off my head. Everybody else puts the guns back. Sorry, sir, as they're running back in their cars. That's trauma.
He felt that Colin Kaepernick has not experienced the type of things that he was protesting against. That has to be taken into account.
Let me keep it realer than real right now. I'm gonna ask you and your viewers right now. When y'all first saw Colin Kaepernick, did you know if he was white or black? Remember when Colin Kaepernick had the Caesar? When he had the low haircut? That's my word. I didn't know if he was white or black. It's only when this started, then he grew the afro and all that type of shit.
I see what you're saying.
It's only when he grew the afro that it's like, okay, he's black. Like, you know what I mean? When he grew the afro, that made him look more black to us. But before that, he looked racially ambiguous to me.
You're right. He could have been Mexican.
He could have been a dark, like a dark Italian or something, like a Sicilian. Like, I'm telling
True.
you, I didn't, and with a name like Kaepernick, I didn't know what the fuck he was. I didn't know what he was. It was only when he grew the afro and all of that, which I don't know if that was convenient for what he was, for the cause that he was supporting. You see what I'm saying? To get black people on his side. But I'm just saying, like, that afro came at a certain time, I feel like.
Right. Along with the cornrows.
Right.
The
Before
cornrows
that,
were coming near the end of his 49ers career.
how many
Yep.
white boys you know with Caesars and shit like that and low cuts like that, like, and he got that straighter type of hair. I'm telling you, when I first seen him, I didn't know what he was. I didn't know what he was. So I hear what he's saying as far as, and now you're telling me his upbringing and all this type of shit. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not in it for Kaepernick. I like the reason that he kneeled. You see what I'm saying? And whether he experienced it or not, the fact that he brought light to it when nobody else was bringing light to it was a good thing. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And, we all like a fucking underdog. So this is why he seems like an underdog in a way. So that's why a lot of people supporting him. But if you do look at certain aspects of it, he came out on top in a lot of ways. Like, you know what I mean? In a lot of fucking ways.
Well, and here was Marcel's.
You got people calling him the new Muhammad Ali. Like, that in itself is fucking huge.
Yeah. Now, Muhammad Ali actually went to prison, though. Muhammad Ali was really about it. I feel
Listen,
to a greater
people
extent.
will forget. They'll be quick to call him a Muhammad Ali without him going through the same type of shit that Muhammad Ali went through. But, yes, that's still not going to stop them from calling him that.
Well, and the final point he made that upset a lot of people was that Kaepernick's girlfriend, Nessa, who's on the radio on Hot 97.
And first of all, I didn't know that was his girlfriend until recently. How long has he been with her?
I think for a while now, a few years now. The bigger he got, the less he started to speak himself. He would do an Instagram post, but I've never seen an actual audio or video interview from him in quite a while. He literally just stopped talking the bigger he got.
Right.
But Nessa would speak on his behalf all the time.
Not cool.
And the thing that Marcellus had a problem with was that, like, the thing that I mentioned to you with the Baltimore Ravens, where she put up the Django picture, where she's calling another black man basically a sellout, when she herself is Egyptian and Arab and Middle Eastern. You could say that she's black to a certain degree, but I think most people, she did not go through the African American experience.
She was born over there? Grew up over there?
I'm not sure. I think she
You
grew
could
up over
be that.
here.
You could be that and be born and born in the hood. Like, I know some hood ass Arab niggas. You understand?
No, she was born in California. Yeah, she was born in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she started dating Kaepernick in 2015. But basically, he doesn't look at her as a black woman, and she's out calling out black men out their name and so forth, and he has a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. See, I was about to ask you, what is Nessa like? Because again, she's almost racially ambiguous to me. Like, I know we first met her through BET or something like that. Wasn't she on BET? Or
Possibly.
or maybe she was
I think she had a show on MTV. She was part of a show or something like that.
She was a disc jockey maybe for a second on Hot 97, I believe.
Well, she is a disc jockey on Hot 97. She does
Okay.
like afternoons on Hot 97.
Right. There you go. I think that's where I first heard of her or whatever. I didn't know where she came from. But when sometimes you assume that she's on Hot 97, she must be black. Like, you know what I mean? But no, that doesn't necessarily mean that. So, yeah, I don't know if she's not black, is it really her place to be speaking on black issues like that? Like, probably not. You know what I mean? Probably not. Although if she's Arab, she's not white. You see what I'm saying? So that does give her, you know. I need to know more about her to be able to speak on it. I can't even really speak on that. I'm just, as a man, I'll just say that I think a man should speak for himself. You know what I mean? I don't think he should have other men or women speaking for him. You know?
Agreed.
He should speak for himself. That's what I got to say about that.
One of the things also that Marcellus was, talked about in our interview was at one point, like he didn't grow up around guns. Even though he grew up in the hood and his uncles were gangsters, he was never allowed to carry a gun or, whatever else. That was a big no-no in his household. But once he started playing professional football, one of his friends got robbed in front of his house. So he started carrying a gun around.
I'm in this big old townhouse and it's echoing and there's no one there but me. And I'm like, people could find out real quick, real fast where I'm at. So then I got one my rookie year, that summer before my rookie year. And I had a little 380 and I kept it in this little wallet. And it looked like a wallet and I would take it everywhere, every meeting, to our home games, not our road games. I ain't go that far because we had security in part with us, to the club, to the bar, with no intent to shoot anybody, no intent to be hard, a gangster, just the intent to be like, if you ever mess with me and cross that line, and for me, that line is right here.
And it got to the point where he's bringing the gun into the locker room. He would literally have it on him all the time. And then there was this one instance where this guy was like looking at him kind of crazy and like walked up to his car and he got his gun ready and he rolled down the window and the dude asked him for directions. Right. And he was like, okay. So he just went over to some river and just threw the gun in the river and said that was it.
I'm in the car by myself, and he walks in front of my car and stops. And then he looks at me. Then he turns around, U-turns, and starts to come to my driver's side door. I got a gun with me. So all of a sudden, I pull my gun out, turned it towards the door, turned it towards him, and was like, I hope this ain't that. And he knocks on my window, and it's 2-something in the morning, dark, and I roll the window down, and he's asking me directions. Excuse me, you know where so-and-so is? And right then, I answer this question, start rolling, start thinking. Without that gun there, I would have just answered this dude's question about directions. With this gun here, it's taking my mind to a completely different paranoid place. Get rid of this gun. On the ride home, use my little baby John Elway arm, to the water, wherever Niagara Falls goes and leads to. That gun somewhere at the bottom of all that.
I know Sadat X got caught with a gun at one point. Number one, what was the reason why Sadat was carrying a gun?
You probably have to ask him. I don't know, That's some shit we ask him. Like, the fuck was you doing, bro? Like, what was you doing? Like, whatever. I think he might have felt like he had a lightweight beef or something in the neighborhood at that time, and he just was having it on him. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think he needed it on him, but he had it on him at that time, and he got caught with it. You know what I mean?
He ended up doing some jail time over that, right?
He did a fucking year in Rikers.
Oof.
He did a year for that shit.
Yeah.
Now, see, and that's because the laws had changed. When we first signed with Brand Nubian, shit, I got locked up for popping off. Okay. But this was at a time when, like, rappers and shit like that, like, it was almost a good thing. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, Tupac and niggas like that wasn't in the news yet. So I ended up getting a paid lawyer. We was down with Rush and all that shit at the time. And, Lior and them got me a fucking lawyer and shit like that. And shit, I only ended up doing like 4 years probation for this shit.
Okay, so you actually shot a gun?
Yeah, I got into some shit, and luckily nobody got hit, but I had to pop off on some motherfuckers.
Okay, can you talk about that situation?
Yeah, it's over.
Okay, so what led up to you actually pulling out the gun and shooting?
My brothers was at this fucking, two of my younger brothers, they was at this bar or some shit. And, you know, they was playing hip hop in this bar, but it was a bunch of white boys in there and shit, you know? And yo, one of the white dudes tried to get funky with my brothers or some shit, and they like had them outnumbered or some shit like that. And I just remember they came, you know, one of them came and got me and some shit like, yo, you might should bring your shit, you know what I mean? And that's whenever you got some shit, the likelihood of you pulling it out is higher or whatever. So I go over there to see what the fuck it is. The nigga come out, the white dude come out, who it was, and it's a motherfucker that I recognize, like from school and shit like that. Like I might have used to go to school with this dude back in the day. So I was like, I don't know this motherfucker. I'm gonna talk to him or whatever. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, that's my brother, da-da-da-da. You know, he's copping plea. And then all of a sudden, like 30 white boys come out the motherfucking, you know what I mean? Come out the fucking bar like, what's up? You know? And now this motherfucker start getting all, you know, he's feeling good now because he got the numbers. And he's trying to like act like I'm like, yo, y'all motherfuckers better back the fuck up off me. You know what I mean? Fuck you gonna do? You know what I mean? These niggas act like they was gonna try to rush me. I had to pull my shit out and start popping. You know what I mean? Oh, you got a gun. You know what I mean? Pop the shit. Now this is crazy because I had a revolver. I popped one already. I go to shoot the nigga and it jammed on me. It was like divine intervention.
Okay, so hold on. So you pulled out your revolver.
38 special.
You
These
shot
are not
at
supposed
somebody?
to jam.
Okay, you shot at somebody or up in the air?
First, when I pulled it out, I shot in the air. Like, y'all motherfuckers better back the fuck up off me. You know what I mean?
Okay. And
that was the first one.
People still stuck around after that happened?
Nah, some of them will run, but he stuck around. He tried to be like a hero. He almost tried to grab the gun. We tussling and all this crazy shit. You know what I mean? So when I get the motherfucker up off me, I think one of my brothers might have like punched him in the head from behind or some shit, got him off me. And so now I'm like, yo, I gotta do it. Right at him. Yo, the shit. Yo, it wouldn't go. I'm looking at it. Now everything's in like slow motion and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And so he's seeing, oh shit, the shit ain't work. And some of his boys is now seeing it ain't work. And so now they trying to get at me. I'm hauling ass now. I'm out of here. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm looking at the gun the whole time. I'm like, what the fuck? Why this shit ain't? I'm fucking with it. As I'm running from these motherfuckers, all of a sudden the shit clicked. And it worked now. Turn back. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Luckily, nobody got hit, yo. But when I did that, that's when they was like, oh, I'm not fucking with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not fucking with this nigga.
You're absolutely right, too. You know, because I'm a gun owner myself. And a revolver
should not jam.
Should not jam. It is damn near the oldest type of gun, and they still make them for that particular reason.
Right.
Because it is not supposed to jam.
Right. But, you know, if you're, you know, when you're younger, you don't know about, like, maintaining your oil in your shit and all this type of shit. So it could have been some shit like that where, I don't know, but the hammer jammed on me. The hammer jammed.
Okay.
And I feel though, in a way, it was like a divine intervention saving me. Because if that nigga would have been dead and you would have never fucking heard of me. Because we was in the process of recording the first album.
Oh, this was before the first album.
This is during the first album. Like, we might have
During
had
the
a
first
single out, but we're recording our shit right now. One for all.
Okay. So you were point blank range pretty much with this guy?
Pretty much.
Okay. And you pointed what part of his body?
Like his chest.
His chest, okay. I mean, do you remember what went through your head right before you pulled the trigger, that second time when you were pointing it at his chest, like, okay, I'll do years if I pull this trigger, like the Slick Rick line?
I didn't think about it. At that moment, you thinking like, it's me or them. Like these, they had enough motherfuckers out there. They could have fucking killed us or some shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it was just me and my two brothers. You know what I mean?
Okay. So it was self-defense to a certain regard.
Absolutely.
Okay. But then you run off, the gun clicks, you turn around and then just shoot in their general direction and don't hit anybody again.
Word.
Okay.
Fortunately. Because
So
by
then
that
what
time, we had
happened?
more space between us. Because I told you, you know what I mean? I was hauling ass when the shit didn't fucking work. And these now 30 motherfuckers is trying to, you know what I mean? Get on! Like, and they're talking nigger shit and all of that. White boys that was just listening to hip hop. Get that fucking nigger! You know what I mean? And they knew me from fucking, you know what I mean? Like, they knew me from Nurse Shell and all this happened in Nurse Shell. And that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody knew me when the police came straight to my crib. And you know how many statements they had of at least 25 motherfuckers? It was him. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay. So they all snitched on you.
Basically.
You get arrested?
Yep.
And what, you bailed out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then they just dropped it to probation.
Yes.
Super
Like criminal
lucky.
possession of a weapon and I think like menacing or something like that. Because this
Okay.
guy, this dude had gotten in a fight with the police and all kind of shit. And they didn't like him. They were like, you should have killed him. And all that, you would have been happy. That would have been two birds with one stone, you motherfuckers. Fuck you.
So after this situation, did you ever carry a gun again?
Yes.
Why?
Automatics. Listen, when I was coming up, you know what I mean? Like I was really immersed in some street shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I used to carry a gun every day at one point before all this brand new being shit. Like, I used to have I'm driving with no license, smoking weed in the car. I got a gun under the seat, fucking a machete in the trunk, all kind of crazy shit. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is how a motherfucker was rolling. So now we got on or whatever. Yeah, that happened. But, you still feel, I don't know, a part of you feels like you still need a gun or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So I used to still be having guns and shit, going to brand Nubian shows and all of that with guns and shit. You know what I mean? I'm like niggas like Be Real was my man and all of that. You know what I mean? He's bringing guns from Cali to New York. Okay? Like, I'm not even gonna blow it up and how he did it, but he was doing shit like that. I'm going to chill with this nigga in this fucking hotel. They got Glocks and all kind of shit just sitting up on the motherfucking, you know what I mean? On the dresser and all of that. It's just like niggas was moving like that back then. But at some point, like, I just realized, like, yo, motherfuckers got so much love for us, like, as brand Nubian, and we are so positive, like, in the people's eyes. Ain't nobody fucking with us like this. Like, we ain't having, like, you don't need to have a gun like that. Like, I just realized, like, it's not even necessary. Like, you're not getting in beefs like that, no. Like, you know what I mean? Your life is not like that no more. The risk is not as high as it used to be when you was younger or whatever. You know what I mean? All of this, I'd rather have it, because the other motherfucking, like, niggas is coming to us with nothing but love. We going to all fucking hoods. I love brand Nubian. Like, the fuck I need a gun for? So at some point, I made the conscious decision, I'm not walking around with no guns. And, yo, the anxiety of moving around like that, you riding with a legal gun and, oh shit, the police is behind you. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck who you are, how gangster you are. You, man, those situations you're fucking gonna get fucking nervous and, you know what I mean? The thought of going to jail and all this type of shit, or, you know what I mean? Nah. I was like, I don't need that shit in my life. So I stopped carrying guns like that.
Man, all the years I've known you, I've never heard this story before.
Listen, because a lot of people feel the need to try to like impress you with stories of criminality and like dumb shit. Like I came in the game on some positive shit. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about rhyming about old shit that I used to do. Like how these niggas rhyme about. I could rhyme about selling crack and fucking mad bitches and all that. I did all of that. Okay? But that's not how I came in the game. I came in the game on some, yo, we're going to teach black people that the black man is God. You know what I mean? That's what the fuck we going to do. And all of that shit about guns and all this type of, we not into that shit. We're going to take the jewelry off, is what we did.
Although one of your biggest songs ever was Punks Jump Up to Get Beat Down.
Yes, but that's not necessarily a song about gangster shit that you used to do. You see what I'm saying? That was about an attitude, because Punks was getting jumping up to get beat down at that time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a couple times some ass has got to get whooped, but not really. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was different. You know what I mean? That was like an energy. You know what I mean? As opposed to, yo, I used to fucking, you know what I mean? I used to go uptown Harlem and buy fucking crack and bring it back to New Rochelle, and then we'd fucking go to projects and sell it, and I used to have a gun on me every day. You never heard me rhyming shit like that. You know what I mean? But I could have, but I didn't. You know what I mean?
It's interesting because right now the top story on VladTV is, Nicki Minaj has her fiance. Right? And they're on Instagram Live the other day, and someone did a screen capture where you see in the dude's pocket is a gun with an extended clip.
Wow.
In his pocket, and he's a convicted felon,
Right.
which means that he's not allowed to own a gun.
Right.
And I'm like, and it's not like it's like it's clearly sticking out of his pocket. Like anyone looking at him, she knows that it's there. The fact that he is in this position with this A-level star, and you
And
like,
still
what
moving
message-
around like that.
Yeah, like what message are you trying to send out to the world right now? Like, don't try it with me. I got my gun. Like, motherfucker, you're with an A-list celebrity who has armed security with her all the time. You're not just running up on Nicki Minaj and asking for a selfie. It doesn't work that way. You really, when she moves, she's protected. Like, when you guys go out, I doubt it's just the two of y'all. I'm sure you guys have security with you. Like, what are you doing flashing your gun? Like, you're bugging right now.
See, I just realized I'm protected by God. You know what I mean? I'm protected by the universe. And as long as I fucking tell the truth and walk straight, I'm going to stay protected. None of you motherfuckers can fuck with me.
Well, 50 Cent recently came out and said that Chris Brown is better than Michael Jackson. And he kind of doubled down a few times. He showed this one concert where Chris Brown came out and was doing backflips and stuff like that. It's like, oh, Michael didn't do this. And everyone is on his head about that. Do you at all co-sign Chris Brown being better than Michael Jackson?
Absolutely. I don't think Chris Brown co-signs Chris Brown being better than Michael Jackson. Is he more athletic than Michael Jackson? Maybe. If it comes to doing backflips. But come on. Do we understand what Michael Jackson's career, how it spanned, like, generationally? Like, he was a kid, he was a star from the time he was, I don't know, when did he start singing? What was he, 8 years old or some fucking shit? I don't even know. He
Yeah.
was super
but,
young.
you know, to be fair, Chris Brown started relatively young also.
But he wasn't a
15 or 16.
star like that. He wasn't a star at that time. He by the time Chris Brown was a star, Mike had been a star, you know what I mean? By that time for years and years now.
Right. And I honestly, and you're right, because Chris Brown even went on Instagram himself and was like, nah, like, I'm not co-signing this.
Absolutely not.
You know, because at the end of the day, like, you could put on Michael Jackson right now. You could put on, you know, songs from Off the Wall.
No, forget, let's go earlier than that. I'll Be There.
I'll Be There.
Shit like that when he was young.
Are
like
absolutely timeless.
Yes, like this nigga got classics upon classics upon classics upon multi-generational classics. And I think Chris Brown is a dope fucking artist who was inspired by Michael Jackson. And you could see that in some of what he does. I think that was just something to say. You know what I mean? You know how 50 do.
50
You know how 50 get crazy, just change theme songs and then change them back.
Exactly.
I'm glad he's changing it back, though, because, oh, man.
Well, you know, I just interviewed Dallas Austin.
Yes, I seen.
I might have to say that may have been the most musically talented person I've ever interviewed. I mean, shit, I've also interviewed Jermaine Dupri. I mean, Brian Michael Cox, who's got like 7 Grammys. Like, I've interviewed some people with some real stripes.
Right.
But Dallas Austin is definitely one of them.
Oh, come on.
Absolutely. Like, he had at 14, he produced like the number 2 song in the country. And, you know, between Boyz II Men to TLC to like everybody, like his discography is massive because he was doing albums. He wasn't just doing singles. He would do people's entire albums.
That's crazy.
You know, Monica, etc. And he got to work with Michael Jackson.
Right.
And he said something interesting because, you know, him and Michael Jackson were spending, you know, time together in the studio and everything. And Michael told him, because at one point nobody knew where Michael was. There was reports that he was here, there, whatever. But Russia was actually hiding Michael Jackson.
Ah, your peoples.
It's kind of him against the United States. You know, like when he went to where they were looking for him everywhere and the plane was landing in different places. And Michael's getting off here and the plane's taking back off, you know. And he's like, Dallas, I was sitting in Moscow watching them myself land in different places on TV because the United States is looking for me everywhere. And the Russian government basically hit him. And he wrote Stranger in Moscow in this hotel room while he's watching himself on TV. Like, the KGB is after me. And I was thinking, hey, man, how much power do you have where the Russian government takes you and hides you?
My people. And my ex-people. And he said America didn't like that because America did not have a good relationship with Russia. Really ever, but at that time especially. And he had a great relationship with Russia. Russia loved him.
Right.
And it just sort of takes the, you know, when people come up with their conspiracy theories and everything else like that, that took it to a you know, to another level. Like, okay, Russia, who's involved in all types of fuck shit, from you know, getting Trump elected to whatever, they're hiding the biggest entertainer in the world.
Right.
The most famous person since Jesus.
And you don't think that might not piss off some ego megalomaniac over here in America? Like, you know what? Let's kill this motherfucker. Let's propofol this motherfucker.
Let's put him in prison. Let's put him in prison.
Put him in prison or kill him. Either one. Because prison is like a death in a way. You know what I mean? Once somebody's in jail, it's almost like they dead because you don't never see these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? It's like a death.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time you heard about Phil Spector? You know?
Is he in
Who
jail?
was considered one of the greatest producers ever.
Is he in jail or he's on the run?
No, he's in prison.
Oh, okay.
He ended up accidentally killing a girl like at his house. You know, they say that she was playing with a gun and whatever, but he was convicted of it. This is the guy that was producing the Beatles and Tina Turner and everything else like that. Yeah, you don't hear about him. You know, you hear a little bit about Bill Cosby here and there.
But not really. Bill's dead too right now. When you're in jail, it's like the world just forgets about you pretty much.
Yep. Yeah, man. And you know, he even told me how he brought Biggie to the studio.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that interview. I watched that one.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, man.
He was
He
like,
said,
yo,
Biggie-
can I meet Mike? Like,
You
That's
know,
what's up.
Biggie was dropping N-bombs and F-bombs and everything. Mike was like, I love it.
Me and Biggie riding around in the car, listening to the song. He's writing the rap and smoking weed. And he's like, I just can't believe I'm sitting here with you guys, you know. And after he says the rap to me, he's got like, you know, a bunch of cuss words and niggas and toting guns and all this stuff is in the rap. So I'm like, oh man, I don't know if this is gonna fly with Michael because it's got so many cuss words and you talk about gun toting and everything else and indo smoke and you know. So I was like, I'll tell you what though, let's just do it for him. Let's go in there and lay down the rap once, just let him hear it. You know. So he goes in, he takes the first take, he does the rap. I was like, let's let him hear it before we do the rest of it. So Michael comes in and hears it, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, this is, you know, kind of embarrassed in one sense because it's got so many street words in it. Then Michael just goes, oh my God, this is perfect. I love it. That's exactly what I wanted to say. So I was like, there it is.
right.
He was like,
said
"Oh,
he wasn't
shit, I
sure
didn't
if he
know that
was
was
going to
gonna
like
happen."
it or not. Like, yeah, listen, that's what's up.
Yeah, man. Well,
We did
Paul Mooney.
We did a joint with Reby Jackson.
oh, you did a joint with Reby Jackson?
Yeah.
Okay. She had that song Centipede, I think.
We
back in the day?
redid that. We remade that Centipede on the Foundation album, and she ended up like singing the shit over the hook over for us. It was dope.
Yeah. I've interviewed Tito before. That's probably as close as I came to the Jackson clan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles with Reby.
Well, your man Paul Mooney.
Whoa.
Whoa. I interviewed Godfrey,
Yes.
and I asked him for his Mount Rushmore of comedians.
And Paul Mooney was on it.
I love Paul Mooney. I love Paul Mooney. Like, I watch him a lot. Like, I love.
He used to write for Richard Pryor.
You damn right.
Let me look it up. Hold on.
And Godfrey does a excellent Paul Mooney impression. We just talked about this on the Godcast a couple episodes ago. Go check out that episode. He does a great Paul Mooney and a great fucking Richard Pryor. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, no. Godfrey's incredible. Impressions, incredible. But Godfrey's Mount Rushmore of comedians is Paul Mooney, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, and Bill Cosby.
Well, definitely Richard Pryor and George Carlin for me. Damn, Paul Mooney, I mean, yo, he's a funny motherfucker, man. I'd have to think more, though, about my Mount Rushmore. But definitely, yes. Well, hold up. Eddie's not on there?
No.
Yeah, I might would have to do, like, I would have to take somebody off.
Yeah.
For
Well-
me, Eddie, Rich, George, I'm not sure who else. Keep going.
Well, Paul Mooney is accused of allegedly sexually assaulting or molesting Richard Pryor Jr.
Right. When he was
And,
underage.
Yeah. And Paul Mooney's bodyguard, Richard Pryor's old bodyguard was the one that let this information go. Paul Mooney's camp, publicist, whatever, denied it. And they asked Richard Pryor Jr., and he actually didn't deny it. He kind of danced around it a little bit.
No, I heard what he said. He basically said, how could it... They said, was it consensual? He said, how could it be consensual when I was a teenager? So he's basically saying it happened. Yeah, and he's saying it wasn't consensual. The only thing he didn't say is, yeah, Paul Mooney fucked me. He didn't say that. But he didn't, you know what I mean? Like.
And you have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt because we are now living in a victim praising society where, you know, the Jussie Smollett situation, people are being brought to very high
You talking about
levels.
Juicy Smollett?
Yeah.
Okay. That French actor. Okay, go ahead.
Juicy Smollett.
Right.
You know, where people are being praised for being a victim. So he didn't really go into the details. So you don't really know if it happened, if it didn't happen. But I would say with most men, most heterosexual men, if you ask them, like if you ask me if I got molested,
Be like,
I'll say
fuck
absolutely,
no.
absolutely not. I'm like, hell no. I never got molested. Whoever said they did is bullshit. Never happened.
This
Never
butthole is exit only.
Exit only, baby. But he didn't deny it. And, you know, Paul Mooney ended up canceling his shows afterwards. And, for example, I just interviewed Pierre.
Who?
Hold on a second. Let me tell you his full name. Hold on one sec. I just interviewed, well, his full name is Pierre Edwards. He's a comedian and actor. I'll show you a picture of him. You know who he is probably by face.
Okay, yeah, he looks familiar. I know who you're talking about. He's not famous like that, but I've seen him before.
He was in, he was on Def Comedy Jam. He was in BAPS. He was in How to Be a Player. Bunch of roles over the years. He's still a stand-up, working stand-up comedian, whatever. He's actually on tour with, he's known Paul Mooney for years.
Right.
Probably for decades, and he's on tour with him. It says that Paul Mooney actually has dementia now. Paul Mooney is a legend. I mean, he used to write for Richard Pryor.
That's what. And that's somebody said he didn't write for him, so I don't know what portion of that is. But also, here's my thing: what are you looking for? What do you want from Paul Mooney? He's 79 years old, senile, whatever. Dementia, got dementia coming in.
Does he have dementia?
Yeah, the dementia's kicking in on him and stuff like
So give me an example of dementia with Paul Mooney. Like, what kind of things would you see?
He's not really performing anymore, so his mind is not. He can remember his act like that. He'll come back a little bit. With me, I know Paul Mooney since about 1992. Oh, okay. So, I used to watch him at the Comedy Store all the time. So I had to kind of, reacclimate myself with him a couple times. And, Paul, what's up, dude? This, that, and then now he knows me. So you have to kind of be around him a little more for him to catch who you are, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So that he does remember you, but it has to, not from the rip, you walking through the door. You have to take a couple of things, be around him and so forth like that. And so he comes in and out. He'll remember some stuff and some things he won't remember like that. But again, he's 79 years old. I'm not saying if he did this shit, it's wrong. It is wrong. But then what do you want? Let's say he did do it. What is the result from that? You want him to go to jail for the last 2 years of his life?
I mean, look at Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Old man.
Old man.
Yeah. Let's see how old he is.
Got to be at least
Paul Mooney's
70.
78 years old. And he's really just doing this tour to help out the other comedians. Right? He says he has dementia. He doesn't always remember who he's talking to, and, even though he's known the person for years and so forth. So he's, at the end, later end part of his life, if he has dementia, these types of things kind of start to accelerate and so forth. I mean,
Maybe you don't remember if he fucked Baby Richard. I'm just saying. Right?
I'm denying because I don't remember. Matter of fact, who is Richard Pryor?
Right. Remember the guy I used to write jokes for?
Who?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. He doesn't remember it. Wow. Okay. And there's always been the gay rumors about Paul Mooney.
Yes. Let me just say, you know what? I've always loved Paul Mooney as far as from the time I was introduced to him. You see? Because there's an earlier Paul Mooney that we don't know about, that we weren't privy to. There's that picture going around of the young Paul Mooney holding a glass of wine, looking gay as fuck. That Paul Mooney we didn't know. We knew the later Paul Mooney who was super funny, who had effeminate ways, and you're like, is this guy gay? But then he's saying certain shit that's like, you're thinking a gay guy wouldn't talk about. Especially when he started later in life, when most of his jokes were about race. When most of his jokes were about race and the bullshit that white people do to black people, yo, he almost became like the conscious comic in a way. Like nobody else was hitting comedy from that kind of angle, like from I don't give a fuck about white people, like I'm for the betterment of my black people, and white people have been on some bullshit in this country and around the world, and I'm gonna fucking expose it.
Well, he had a comedy special in 2012 called The Godfather of Comedy.
And he came out with broads and all of that. He was looking like a pimp when he came out on stage.
In this, and I'm reading this right now. I've never actually seen this, but
I saw it.
In this comedy special, he said, to end racism, the only way is to kill every white person on this planet.
Right. And he said it with such a straight face that it made everybody laugh. Like, he's like, I'm serious. Like, just get rid of him. Like, yo, he's an ill motherfucker. But that being said, you could always see a little sweetness in him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and now that this is coming out, it's like a party's like, I knew it. I knew this motherfucker. You know what I mean? But again, that doesn't take away from the fact that he himself was a comedic genius. Like, this guy was writing for Richard Pryor. Like,
right.
How funny do you have to be?
Yeah, I mean, I interviewed Ari Spears, and, we talked about the gay rumors, and he said, yeah, Paul has some sugary moves. And that's the way he described it. What's your take on that?
Well, I said after I did the bit in my special, I said, is that nigga gay? So, yeah, I heard it. You know what? He seems like he has some sugary moves. And of course people will say, well, he's got 2 sons, and we know that don't mean shit.
At one point there was like a roast where a comedian accused him of being gay. And
no, not a comedian. Richard Pryor. There was a roast of Richard Pryor. And one time, and Richard said, yeah, the first time I ever fucked a transvestite or some shit was with Paul Mooney. And then he called him like Miss Thing or some shit during the fucking roast. And Paul just laughed. He didn't say, oh, no, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, Richard.
Well, you got to think, 78 years old, back then, if it came out that you're gay, your career would probably end. In 2019, Lil Nas X comes out and he gets even bigger. So I understand that if you've been hiding something your whole life because of how you grew up.
Right, out of habit, you might just keep doing it.
Out of habit, yeah. 78, you're not going to come out the closet. Oh, then again, maybe you will.
Well,
Who the hell knows?
Hold up. Mr. Sulu came out pretty old from Star Trek.
Yeah.
That nigga was damn old. And he said, you know what? I've been liking dicks all this time, God damn it. When I hit the warp drive, oh, boy.
Well, listen. I'm a big fan of Paul Mooney. We've actually talked about doing an interview together. We've exchanged emails before about it. He actually agreed to do it because he was a fan of my interview with Lunel.
Nice.
Who he's friends with. Hopefully it'll happen. I would love to sit down.
The same Lunel that said she wanted to marry me?
That's right. That Lunel. Number one, she's now on her second Eddie Murphy movie this year. She just finished Dolomite.
Right,
with
and
Eddie
isn't
Murphy,
she in
and she's
Coming to
now
America?
she's doing Coming to America 2 right now in Atlanta. My girl.
You know, and
Love it.
Lunel is one of those, you could tell, like, she really from the hood. You know what I mean? And, like, but she's been on her grind so long, and to see her finally, like, really be in a space where I feel like she's getting the, you know, good bread and you know, she's good. Like, she's solidified. Like, we all know who the fuck Lunel is. She's funny, and it seems like shit is almost going up for her right now and later in her life. Like, that's an inspiration to a lot of people. It's never too late. You know what I mean? Like, people
That's
like
right.
her could show you that it's never too late. You can have a whole next career, you know, in your 60s or some shit if you wanted to. So
Yep.
do whatever the fuck you want to do.
I had Jalen Rose on my show recently.
Now, I didn't get to watch those, but I saw some interesting titles that I wanted to click on them, but I didn't get to check it out yet.
Me and Jalen have been talking about doing this for like 10 years. Like, he had reached out to me really early. VladTV, we had DM'd, we talked about doing some shit, and it just took some time. But years later, he came in, we did a 2.5-hour epic interview, which was, you know, for us a real accomplishment, because Jalen is really one of the top guys when it comes to, you know, sports commentators and analysts. So I got into his whole backstory. What I didn't know, because I'm not really a sports guy like that, right? What I didn't realize until I started going through my notes and everything else like that was that Jalen's biological father was NBA superstar Jimmy Walker.
So my father, my biological father, Jimmy Walker, was the #1 pick in the 1967 NBA draft. Just had Earl the Pearl Monroe on Jalen and Jacoby recently, who was also in the draft.
Yep.
Love Clyde Frazier, who was also in that draft. And so he and my mom weren't clearly in a relationship. And so when I was born, it was more so I was used to, it's almost like you don't miss what you never had.
I read that in the title. I didn't know that either.
Do you know, growing up in New York, do you know who Jimmy Walker is?
Sounds familiar, but no.
Jimmy Walker was a first-round draft pick out of college.
Okay.
He, hold on a second.
Who did he end up playing for? And he's from New York?
Yeah. Hold on. Well, hold on. I'm not going to say that. Hold on a second. So he was a first-round draft pick in the 67 draft. So this was kind of before our time.
That's a year before I was born.
Yeah, exactly. He was born in Virginia. I'm not sure where he grew up. Hold on. Yeah, played basketball. He grew up in Boston. Okay. He played for the Pistons, 67 to 72. Played for the Rockets, 72 to 73. And he played for the Kansas City Kings, 73 to 76. He's a 2-time NBA All-Star, 2-time consensus first team All-American, 3rd team All-American, NCAA scoring leader.
And that was his biological father, but he didn't grow up with him.
Not only did he not grow up with him, but he had never met him.
Right, never met him.
Never actually physically met him. His father.
But did
allegedly,
he know that was his father? You see what I'm saying?
He knew the whole time.
So
His father
did they steer him down the basketball road because of that?
Well, he was 6'8", so he was already like obscenely tall.
What he wasn't 6'8" in elementary school.
No, but he
and
was
a lot of
definitely
times
taller.
these kids
Right.
start young.
Like,
You know what I mean?
He was taller. He was taller than everybody else, pretty much his
okay.
whole life. His father had like 13 children with like 11 women.
Wow.
And apparently he didn't really have relationships with any of these kids.
Wow.
Yeah. And it got to the point where, you know.
Sound like one of those old 70s dads. Those Papa was a Rolling Stone dad. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, one of those dads. And in fact, I may be getting these numbers wrong, but he had a level of animosity towards his father. So when he got to high school, his father's number was like 24. He chose 42. Like the opposite.
I want to be the exact opposite of my dad.
Exact opposite. And he didn't, it wasn't until, like, it was a really interesting story where his father wrote him a letter, I think while he was still like in college or something, or high school. And he held on to that letter for like 7 years. Never read it, like carried it around with him, but never opened it.
Wow.
Because he felt like he wanted to feel like he made it before he actually opened this letter. And then one day, by calling a few different people, he actually got his father on the phone. And then, you know, they talked about, you know, what's in the letter and so forth. And he never actually got to meet him. His father ended up dying at 63 years old in 2007. And he said something interesting. He went to his father's funeral, and this guy, like I said, was a superstar during his day. There was 20 people there.
Right, I read that. So, what are you saying? What does that say to what kind of life this man led?
Yeah, man. I mean, just kind of, you know, he said that really affected him when he saw only 20 people there. So it's like not even all his kids were probably there. Like,
Right, so what do you think the message was that he got from that?
well, the message is that, you know, you have to, no matter how famous you are or whatever, it's really all about relationships and how much time you put into your relationships with people. And, you know, how, you know, it was sort of like this man may have been loved by the public, but he was not actually loved by his family and the people and his friends and the people around him.
There you go. See, it's about love. Like the more love you give out is the more love that you will receive. You see what I'm saying? And when you just live a selfish life where you're always just thinking about yourself and you don't think about others and being of service to others, and you're not spreading love, then it's like this is where you end up. And what did all of that matter? Like, he was a 2-time All-Star, and he used to play in front of thousands of people and all that type of shit who were cheering him on whenever he hit a three or dunked it. But at the end of his life, only 22 people were there as witnesses, because that's what it is. They're witnesses and testament, and making a testament to your life. These are people that saying, yes, I knew him, he was a good man, and I'm here to represent for him. And the more people that you have at your funeral is supposed to signify the more people you've touched, the more love that you put out there that's now coming back to you. So to only have 22 people, you know, that should tell all of us that what you're doing right now and the relationships you have with people and how you interact with them matters. You know what I mean? And, you know, if you want your life to truly be worth something, you know what I mean, on a grand scale and not just on a monetary scale, then yeah, you got to spread love and, you know what I mean, and let your relationships flourish.
I remember during our interview, we talked about how he got into it with Jordan on the court, and he was trash talking Jordan, right? So I'm like, well, what did you say? He said, I called him overrated. He told Jordan he's overrated. How did he react?
Wow, I did watch those words come out of my mouth, huh?
You're overrated.
Because part of my ego makes me think I was a member of the Bad Boys team, but I actually didn't get a uniform. So it's like when they walked off and didn't shake the Bulls' hands, when I look back at that footage, I was on the team. I felt that. That was everything to me. So I rooted against Jordan his whole career, his entire career, hoping that I made it to the NBA. And now I'm in the league, and there you go. And it's the play. Get up. Take this.
And then he was like, wow. He's like, those words actually came out of my mouth. I called Jordan overrated to his face.
That's ill.
John Sally did an interview with me a little while ago where he said, out of all the players that he's played with, like on the same team, Pippen is the most skilled player he's ever played with, not Jordan.
See, the funny thing is, I think Scottie is more skilled than all of them. Scottie Pippen is probably the most skilled player I've ever played with.
Really?
Yeah. And his hands come to his shins. Okay? Standing straight up.
And when I told that to Jalen Rose, he said that John Sally needs to be drug tested.
You got drug test, John. And that's my big brother.
He smokes a lot of weed.
I
so
know he
you
does.
failed
I
that-
know he
you
does.
failed that drug test.
I remember when John came to the city and he bought the big mansion. I got a chance to go over there and everything. That's my big brother in the game. He helped put me on at the best damn sports show on Fox. I got a chance to work with him for years. He's vegan now. And so I understand where he's coming from. He's a very knowledgeable individual with the game. But you know what that is? I'm going to tell you what that is. I know what that is.
What is it?
Deep down in his heart, you ask him, what team do you identify with the most in your career, Sal? And he's going to be like, the Bad Boys.
Did he give an explanation of why he said that?
He just said that, once you got to be around Jordan and see the way he plays, you figured out how to counter him. When he did certain things, you knew how to stop him. Where he said that Pippen was just an incredible all-around player that, is not thought of on the same breath as a Jordan, but he feels he's a better player than Jordan.
Well, here's the thing. If they knew how to stop him, why didn't they? How do you get all those points then? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't fully make sense. But listen, at the same time, the media can choose whoever they want to choose to be the best of whatever they want to choose. And that doesn't necessarily make it true. You know what I mean? Sometimes the people that are really on the inside and know the nuances, they might know a little better. I don't know. But, yeah. On face value, that doesn't seem like a proper assessment to most people. But I don't know. I'd have to really look at what John Sally was trying to say. And, yeah, I don't see it.
I mean, would you say Jordan's the best player of all time?
Again, I'm not the biggest basketball guy, just like you said, I'm a sports guy. Coming up, I was more into baseball and football. He's one of the best I've seen. Me coming up, I'd say there was I guess now 4, but really 3. First, it was Dr. J, who's the precursor of a Jordan. Then there was Jordan, and then Kobe. You know what I mean? That's the 3 for me that I feel like for each generation, they was the greats of their generation. And I guess now you'd have to say LeBron, even though he has a different style than those kind of guys. But yeah, those are the ones I'm going with.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be that argument. Some people are going to put Kobe over Jordan. Some people are going to put LeBron over both of them. I mean, Kevin Durant is a beast.
Right.
Dr. J's. Then there's Magic Johnson. I mean, there's quite a bit, man. There's quite a bit of phenomenal players.
There's a lot to be said for style. You see what I'm saying? And so when you're able to score a lot in a stylish way, that puts you ahead of a lot of motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Because Larry Bird scored like a motherfucker, just shooting, but he had no fucking style. He was boring as fuck. But he fucking was scoring like a bitch. You know what I mean? I think when that black swag, style, meets athleticism, it's always going to have that little bit of edge over basic fundamentals. You understand? So I feel like maybe he's trying to say Pippen was a more fundamentally sound player. You know what I mean? But come on, just Mike was just so great to look at, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he just was so great to look at. It was the style. You know what I mean? It was the way he, that tongue out and all of that, like, added to the style. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, Jalen Rose actually brought up the whole tongue thing. He's like, and he did it all with his tongue out. Who else could say that?
You know what I mean? You would have bit your shit off, motherfucker.
Well, Jalen actually had a reason why he thinks that John Sally said this, right? And I'm going to bring this up to John Sally when we speak tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about basketball is that Jordan is loved all around the country, right? All around the world, but let's just talk about the U.S. Everyone in every state in every city loves Jordan.
Right.
Except for Detroit. Detroit would clown you if you wore Jordans in high school.
Really?
People were not fucking with Jordan.
In Detroit?
In Detroit. This is a very special place that just for whatever reason, they're like, nah, fuck Jordan.
And Sally played for the Pistons.
Right. And he said that if you look at John Sally and you ask him what team he identifies with, it's the Bad Boys. And he thinks it's because of that, that's what makes him say that Jordan is not as good as Pippen.
That can quite honestly be true. You see, because each person's journey is different, and that adds to their collective knowledge and, you know what I mean, and your likes and dislikes. So I could absolutely see that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've never heard of someone saying that they got clowned for wearing Jordans, but he said straight out, that's what it was like in high school.
Wow.
You get clowned. Like, yo, why don't you take off them weak-ass Jordans? Like,
wow. Yeah, I can't even imagine a place on the planet that would act like that, but I could see it at that time, like, yeah, like, there's always an exception to the rule. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, Lonzo Ball recently did an interview with Big Boy in L.A.
Right.
And he said that Future has more hits than Nas.
More hits. I'd have to count, but that,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe.
Probably. He's put out way more albums than Nas, I believe. Because he puts out an album like every couple months.
Okay.
Between his albums and his mixtapes or whatever
Right.
else, he definitely has a ton of projects. And Nas has never really been a pop artist. He kind of had a little bit of, If I Ruled the World, and, he kind of had, Uchi Wally and stuff like that. There was an era where he was, I think, trying for pop records. But in general, he's not a pop artist.
Right.
Like his last few albums, Lost Tapes, no hit records. Nasir, no hit records. Like nothing is being played on the radio or in clubs or whatever else. Just not his focus, I believe.
Right. So now I say this. I've said this about other things, and I say this about this. So what?
Mm-hmm.
So what? Does that make Future a better artist than Nas? Like, does your number of hits make you better? You see, there's two different worlds, man. Like, just two different worlds. I enjoyed Future, especially, maybe 8 years ago or so. Like, when I was down in Atlanta, I was up on Future before a lot of motherfuckers was up on him. When he was all that Dirty Sprite shit and mixtapes and shit like that. Matter of fact, I was one of the ones that knew that was him on the hook to the what was that big song? Where he first
talking about
He was on the hook, but it was the other guy's song.
Yeah, it was like, dude, Young Chris, I think.
Yes. And they was shitting on Future at that moment because people didn't even know that was him on the hook. Like the record company almost tried to make it look like it was that dude was the driving force of the song. And I was like, nah, Future's the one that make this shit hot. So I've been fucking with Future for a minute, but you know, as a hip hop historian, enthusiast, whatever the fuck you want to call me, a hip hop expert, I'm gonna say Nas means more to hip hop culture. Nas is definitely a better lyricist, and he has more records that I feel. You see what I'm saying? But that's different than sales and hits. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the world of hits, yeah, Future probably does have more hits by number.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like Future, I like Nas. I think there's an argument for both. I think that they make very different types of music. I think what Future does is not traditional hip hop.
Right.
Like, it's really more, you know, kind of more melodic.
Just
sort
like
of,
what
but
McDonald's does is not traditional cooking. You see what I'm saying? Like, and this is not to shit on nobody, but you got fast food and you got slow cooked home food. Now the fast food's always gonna sell more than the slow home cooked food. Just by virtue of you can cook it faster. Okay? And they got way more locations. They're probably corporately funded, so I could put them every fucking where. Now this nice, you know, Chez Nas, you know, it only exists in Queens or something, and you know, you got to get a reservation. We're not going to sell as much, but that's just going to stick to your fucking ribs. You know what I mean? You're going to remember that meal much longer than you remember that Big Mac that you had. You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I see that. But now people love McDonald's, though. Don't get me wrong. I don't fuck with it. You know what I mean? But I do fuck with Future. So.
Yeah, the name of the song is called Racks by YC Future.
Right, Racks on Racks on Racks. There you go. Racks on Racks on. That's Future on the hook, y'all.
Future on the hook. That was when he first came out.
Yes, but they didn't know. People didn't know that was Future. But he ended up using that to boost himself up.
Yeah, and he's also like related to Rico from the Dungeon family. He was in the studio.
Right, I heard he was a little kid at that time. I found that out.
Yeah, man. And, you know, shout out to Nas. People think I have some sort of issue with Nas, and that's just not true. As a fan, I've made statements about his beat picking, and I think he's aware of that just as well as I am. And, you know, Lost Tapes was a cool project. You know, and I had heard that him and Premier are supposed to come out with something.
I think I heard that too.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Him and Premier supposed to come out with a whole project. Now, if that's what it's supposed to be, if it comes together the way it's supposed to come together, this is going to be epic.
Epic.
Because like I've always said, New York State of Mind is my favorite Nas song, period. Period. Out of the hundreds of songs he's released, I cannot think of a song that I play more than New York State of Mind. That was an absolute masterpiece.
Wait, now didn't Premier also produce Nas is like?
Yep.
Yeah, see, come on. That shit
That's
right there.
That's your favorite?
I'm not going to say that's my favorite, but that's one of them. That's up there. Like, that Nas is my shit. Like, it just feels great. When it come on, that fucking beat. Like, yo, crazy.
I mean, my final question, if you were to pick, you know, because the hip-hop lists have been circulating and so forth. If you were to pick your top 5 rappers of all time, who would they be?
Okay, here's the thing. Glad you asked me this. Because, first of all, I don't like the fact that we keep dividing and conquering with this list. Why are we acting as if hip-hop has always been solo artists? When some of your greatest hip-hop came from groups. Why is there not the top 5 hip hop groups of all time?
Well, I actually made that list.
Oh.
I haven't put it up yet.
Okay, well,
fuck it.
that's
Hold on,
something that we need to talk about.
Where is this list? I'm about to hold on. I have it right here. Okay.
And if
You
Run
wanna hear my
DMC is
top
not on there, I'm judging you.
What's that?
If Run DMC is not on there, I'm judging you.
Well, Run DMC is on the list, but it's not in my top 10.
I'm
You
judging.
want to hear my top 10 list
Go ahead.
of groups
Go ahead.
from 1 to 10? NWA, Public Enemy, Wu-Tang, Outkast, Cypress Hill, Beastie Boys,
Fuck no. Go ahead.
Tribe Called Quest,
Okay.
Mobb Deep, Ghetto Boys, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Run DMC is actually number 11.
Motherfucker, you better take Beastie Boys off and put Run DMC on there. You better take Beastie Boys off because they are not above Run DMC. Like, get the fuck out of here. There would be no Beastie Boys if it wasn't for Run DMC.
I'm
Who
gonna
the
keep
fuck
going.
you think they was trying to be?
I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do my top 20. Number 12. So number 11 was Run DMC. Number 12 is Fugees, UGK, 3-6 Mafia, Migos, EPMD, De La Soul, Eric B. and Rakim, Capone and Noriega, and Brand Nubian is my number 20.
You got some stuff in there. You got some that I'm like, meh, it could be better. But put it out there and let's start having other people put out their group list. Because all of this top 5 solo shit, like, think about the first biggest hip-hop record was what? Sugar Hill Gang.
Sugar Hill Gang, yeah.
Okay? We had the Furious 5 back then. We had fucking the Treacherous 3. Funky 4 plus 1 more. Come on, man. Like it's so many groups. Like you said, NWA, fucking, Boogie Down Productions is a group, bro. Like,
Yeah, I know.
like Poor Righteous Teachers, fucking
Right. Boogie Down Productions is number 24 on my list.
okay. They probably should be higher. There was a lot of groups. Like you said, De La, Tribe, fucking Fuji, like a lot of fucking groups. So we got to stop with all this top 5 MCs. Like, it's not just solo MCs. There need to be top 5 solo and then top 5 groups. But now, okay, so now let me go back to the original of the solo artist, right? For me, it's so hard. You know why? Because my hip-hop knowledge extends so far back that it's hard to choose 5. Like, I could almost choose 5 from each era. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't start off with Grandmaster Caz, Melly Mel, and Kumo D in that first era of MCs, I don't even know, I can't even talk to you no more. So that's why it's hard to leave it at 5, because I got 3 just at the beginning of hip-hop, when the shit was really starting, especially on wax and shit like that. But without those 3 guys, this shit never would have moved forward. It never would have moved forward, because those are the ones that took it past the yes, yes, y'all, to the beat, y'all, and was really rhyming, like, with lyrics and stories and shit that had you like, whoa, did you hear what the fuck he said? Like, and then now you got to move on to the next eras. You know what I mean? To the Rakims and the Big Daddy Kanes and the LL Cool J. You know what I mean? That's another 3 I could just name off a whole different era. But now that's 6 people right there.
Yeah.
Now we go into a next era. You know what I mean? Of the Nas's and the Jay-Z's and the Biggies. You see? How the fuck are you ever gonna put this at 5? Who the fuck decided it was 5 anyway? You know what? I'm gonna tell you where that came from, right? It came from the format of magazines. You ever notice when you read the cover of a magazine, you know, top 5 ways to, you know, improve your love life, you know, top 10 such, they always do that on magazines. So I think that's where we started getting into the 5 and the 10, you know. I can't do it. But I've named some of my greatest right now, but that was at least 9. I've named at least 9 motherfuckers that's in my top tier of solo artists. And I'm sure there was more that I could think of, but that was just off the head.
Well, I'll go ahead and keep going. Fuck it.
Fuck.
Since I have a list that I actually wrote out.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and, you know, this will be posted by the time this interview comes out. So, you know, I'm sure thousands of people are going to comment and yell at me.
Right. Yes, because some of
So
it, I'm already twisting my face at some of this shit you said, but go ahead.
Right. So 20 was Brand Nubian, right? 21 is The Roots, Gangstar, Dog Pound, BDP, Salt and Pepper, 2 Live Crew, Ray Shremmerd.
Okay. I don't know if I like how you're mixing in some of these new groups with it, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you go.
I'm not just gonna create an old school list.
Okay,
I'm
go ahead.
gonna
I
mix
got you.
in,
I
you
feel
know,
you.
like the Migos were on the list. Ray
And that's
Shremmerd is on the
I
list.
know. And they twisted my face a little bit, but I'm gonna let you go.
Right.
Go ahead. Because this is your
I'm
list.
at 28 right now. Black Star,
Okay.
Digital Underground.
That's because you're from the Bay, but go ahead.
Digital Underground is not one of the greatest. Humpty Dance, to this day, is still a huge song.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But I feel like they had about 3 songs that we really fucked with. But go ahead.
8 Ball and MJG.
Did you say that already?
No, I did not.
I could have sworn you said that already.
I said Ghetto Boys.
Oh, no, you said 3-6 Mafia. That's what it was. All right,
I said
go ahead.
3-6 Mafia, right. 8 Ball and MJG. That was number 30. 31 is The Locks. The Clips.
Okay.
Goody Mob. West Side Connection.
West Side Connection?
Yeah.
Okay.
West Side Connection.
I mean,
Ice Cube, Mac 10, and WC. Come on, they had anthems.
did they? Which ones? Name
Bow
one.
Down.
Bow Down. When it comes to you, I don't know if that was so much an anthem over here. I remember the video.
On my side.
I remember the video.
On my side
though.
it was. Yep.
Okay.
Number 35 is Dipset.
I would have had the
36 is
Locks and Dipset way higher, but all right, go ahead.
I know. 36, Run the Jewels.
Okay.
Hot Boys.
I used to fuck with the Hot Boys. Go ahead.
MOP. G Unit.
Okay.
Number 40 is Souls of Mischief.
All right.
Naughty by Nature.
Absolutely.
Junior Mafia.
Okay.
Far Side.
I'm listening.
Alcoholics.
So you got a lot of Cali groups on there. I see. But that's where you're from. Go ahead. Keep
That's
it going.
where I'm from. Third Base. Das Effects.
Okay.
House of Pain. Number 48 is Pete Rock and Seal Smooth. 49.
Hold the fuck up. You're not gonna put House of Pain before Pete Rock and Seal Smooth.
I
You're
would.
not gonna
I
do
would.
that.
But they're you know, they're both significant groups to me. 49 is the East Siders. And number 50 is Kid and Play.
Okay.
That's my top 50.
That's your top 50. You know what? I'm gonna go home and put my list together. And That's because I've been an advocate of this group list. So now I need to put my money where my mouth is and show you what I think a top 50 group is, and we will revisit this at another time.
There you go. I'm going to post this today.
Yes.
So by the time this comes out, it's already going to be out.
Beef.
It's going to be beef, right? It's going to be beef. And I feel like you've agreed with most of the people on that list.
I agreed with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Some of them I didn't agree with how low they might have been compared to other people. You know what I mean? I feel like some of them on your list was right, but they should have been higher. Some of them, I don't agree with them being on the list at all. But it wasn't so left field that it was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I didn't hear anything that was totally left field, but there was a couple that was like, I could think of many better than a couple of those.
Well, I feel that most of the people you would pick are on that list.
A nice amount of them.
Yeah.
I didn't hear
Now,
nice
the order.
and smooth.
The order's
on
going to
there.
be different.
I didn't
Whatever
hear nice
else,
and smooth.
Yeah, nice and smooth didn't make the list.
I didn't hear
I mean,
ultramagnetic.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to hear a lot of people.
Right,
There's a
because
lot
you
of people
might
who didn't
forget
make the
about a
list.
lot of people too until you really think about it. Did you even think about ultramagnetic?
I did not.
You see?
I did not. I've never, and even though I've interviewed Kool Keith and I'm a fan of what he did, I was not actually a fan of ultramagnetic myself.
Because you
know,
didn't
main
know
source-
about them or
main-
you didn't like the music?
It didn't really hit my radar like that. I'll be honest. When it
Okay.
came out.
Well,
On
they
the
were a
West
very
Coast-
New York group. I'm going to say that.
I know.
They were a very
No, I know.
New York group, but yo, you go listen to Ease Back, shit like that, MC Ultra, shit like, go listen to those two songs. Man.
I remember Papa Large was a big song, but that was
That
might
was
have been
just,
Kool
that
Keith.
was Keith's song. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I knew Kool Keith more for like Dr. Octagon and stuff like that. The stuff he did later on his
Yeah,
own.
see, we wasn't really, that was his weirdo shit. Like, we wasn't really fucking with that too much. Like, I only knew about that because we did shows with Keith and we were overseas with him and they loved that shit over there. Like, pissing on blue flowers and all this type of shit. But, yeah. We wasn't
No,
listening to that.
shit. Main source didn't make my list, and I just interviewed Large Professor. I'm a fan. Like, lots of people didn't make my list.
I'm a fan of Paul. I never was a fan of the other two guys. Like, Paul is my man. But back then, I used to be like, why does he even have these fucking guys? Like, what purpose do they serve? Like,
Well, what do you say? The projects, the PJs, fuck them two DJs.
For real. Like, the fuck out of here.
Shit, Black Sheep is not on my list. There's a lot of people that aren't on my list. A lot of people.
Well, listen, everybody, guess what? We live in America, huh? And everybody's entitled to their fucking opinion. And if that's your opinion based on your hip-hop knowledge as, a white Russian dude who grew up in the West Coast, that's not a bad list. You know what I mean? For where you come from. You see what I'm saying? And your background. Now, I'm going to give you a list of a motherfucker who grew up in New York, okay, who was privy to this hip-hop shit prior to it even being on, like, from the tapes. You see what I'm saying? Basically from its origin to where it's at now. Who got that type of knowledge and experience, and I'll give you a list based on my experience.
There you go. Can't wait to read this list. Can't wait. Lord Jamar, always a pleasure.
VLad.
Until next time. And for those of you who didn't notice, we did not talk about Eminem. We did not talk about Royce.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaving all that alone. That's how we're doing.
I think everything's been said that needs to be said.
There you go.
And we're not going to pay attention to anybody else trying to insert themselves into the mix. Fuck them.
Exactly. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.